Star Trek Behind the Fold, written and narrated by Riley Wright. Chapter 8. Kevin waved a medical scanner over Amanda as she rolled her eyes. Riley, that isn't necessary. Besides, 2 other worried doctors already beat you to it. He sighed, sitting next to her as she ate tuber root salad from the replicator. It was still difficult to control his anger, especially with the man responsible aboard their vessel. Hopefully Spock is giving him a hard time right now, he thought darkly. Amanda touched his hand. I know what you're thinking. Do not entertain such thoughts, or you'll do something regrettable. He forced a smile, eyes darting automatically to the nasty bruise on her cheek. I'm sure your family feels the same way, even if they hide it. You're right. Vulcans do feel. Haven't you ever wondered why crime does not occur on Vulcan? Kevin shrugged. I used to think it was because they had no emotions. Without them, there's no motive to commit crime. Amanda smirked. That seems to be the general consensus, she admitted, pushing her plate aside. Time changes many things, yet the heart and all its conflicting emotions, which have led to countless wars and violence, remains the same. Then how do they do it? Kevin asked, seriously. How did they choose not to feel? Amanda paused, pondering his question deeply. I've lived on Vulcan for many years. As a teacher, their society fascinated me. I thought that surely I could master their mental techniques in time. How very mistaken I was. She shook her head in humor. I respect what they do, how they live, but cannot find it in myself to become what they are. I suppose us humans just aren't ready for it. Kevin chuckled. You think Earth should be like Vulcan? No, not entirely. Vulcan is no utopia. No matter how much they pride themselves in believing they are, they still have much to learn. Kevin felt intelligent eyes watching them. He turned and realized Spock had already been standing in the entrance, quietly listening. Pardon the interruption. Our guest has told me everything he knows. Told you everything? Aren't you going to make sure of that? Kevin challenged. Spock seated across from them. There is no need. He is a terrible liar. Apparently, I was not the first to realize this. The Admiral trusted him with very little. Just dandy, muttered Kevin, in such a McCoy-like manner that Spock let slip a slight smile unawares. I did not say that his information was useless, Mr. Riley. The Admiral's cause involves the destruction of Romulus. What? You're joking. There are many in Starfleet who despise the Romulans and our diplomatic approach toward the threat. Acting apart from the Federation ensures the safety of its members, should they fail. I guess Kozak would very easily find people willing to back him, but only if his plan had any hope of success, Kevin reasoned. Precisely. As for his following on Vulcan, there are purists who view our offshoots as members of the Vatash Katur. Though, what? Kevin asked, in confusion. Vulcans who reject logic, purging the galaxy of their existence, would serve to keep the Vulcan way untarnished. Amanda sighed. A prime example of what Vulcan still has to learn, Riley. Bigotry is not merely a human failing, as Spock knows all too well. Spock looked at her, quickly averting his gaze. Our focus at present is the Admiral's next move. Yeah, and ours, Kevin added. My father has the ship in tow. It would be logical to abandon this vessel for the tactical advantage of the other. Kevin whooped in excitement. We'd definitely be hard to spot in a cloaked fighter. What will you do with the young man? Amanda asked. He will remain here, unconscious, until we have safely departed. A logical course, Sarek agreed as he entered the compartment. We should leave before Admiral Kozak learns of our latest endeavors." They broke up, scouring the ship for any useful weapons and supplies, being careful to leave enough for the spy to survive on. Kevin beamed the last of their supplies aboard. "All set?" he asked over his shoulder. Only he and Sarek remained. "Not quite. I will take care of our guest and join you shortly," Sarek said, as Kevin took his place upon the transporter pad and shimmered from the ship. Sarek entered the small crew quarters. The man was tied loosely to a bunk bed. A plate of food sat by his feet untouched. He tried to mask a flicker of fear and dislike at the sight of the Vulcan. "I will not harm you. Is that why you are afraid?" "Then why are you here? To question me further?" the man asked, apprehensively. Sarek knelt before him. "I believe you have some misconceptions about my people, Mr. Ramirez, Santos Ramirez." He glared at him. "Misconceptions? My parents were murdered by Romulans, and you nearly killed me." Sarek sighed. "I admittedly lost control earlier, but not without cause. Or were you not attempting to murder my wife?" After a long pause, Santos looked away in shame. I'm sorry. I guess I'm becoming the very thing that I hate, aren't I?" Sarek placed a hand on his shoulder. "So long as you are still aware of it, there is hope. You choose what you become, Mr. Ramirez. Remember that." After a few hours of peaceful travel, Kevin finally began to relax. Ships passed within scanner range without the slightest hint of awareness, thanks to the cloaking device. But its power drain was immense. And so it was only enacted when ship avoidance was not possible by any other means. Sarek offered to take the helm while they rested in the back. Kevin noticed that even Spock didn't argue the arrangement, looking rather spent. He's still not fully recovered. This vessel was warmer, brighter, and modified for long-distance travel. Kevin lost count of all the Starfleet violations surrounding him. Most fighters didn't come equipped with a transporter pad or small living area tucked along one side. There lay one cot and some boxes of rations and medical supplies. Needless to say, it was cramped, especially with their added loot. Amanda took the cot, while Kevin and Spock made do with the floor, utilizing pillows taken from the runabout. There were at least fresh black tactical uniforms at their disposal. "Finally, a suitable disguise, although redundant," Spock commented as he changed into them. Kevin bit his lip at the sight of the ghastly dark green scar etched across Spock's chest. It's amazing he survived at all. If he were human, he wouldn't have. Spock caught Kevin's pitying look and quickly pulled on his shirt. Kevin laid back upon his pillow, positioning it and repositioning it as he tried to get comfortable. He glanced over at Spock to see how he was managing and was surprised to find him already asleep. "Good night, sir," he murmured. His dreams were strange and twisted as he fretfully slept. At first, he was like a bird, flying freely amidst the stars. Next, he felt himself falling into a cloud of white. The fog was cold and suffocating. He tried to cry out, but his voice was muffled as disembodied hands reached through the fog toward him. Kevin awoke with a start, heart pounding against his ribcage. He closed his eyes and willed himself to calm. It was just a dream. Just a dream. His back was stiff as he finally stretched and yawned. Spock and Amanda were already up. He climbed to his feet and stumbled sleepily toward them as they crowded the helm, fixated on the view screen. Spock acknowledged his presence without turning. "Just in time, Mr. Riley. We have arrived." Kevin gaped. Hull fragments littered the region before them, spinning slowly. It took wide-range scanning to locate the fragments, Spock explained. Strange, how they are all on the same trajectory. If an explosion destroyed the Enterprise, their dispersal pattern would support it. What does this mean? Amanda asked. Unknown. Sarek raised an eyebrow, pondering something. As I was gathering intel on Starbase 7, I discovered that a strange anomaly had been recorded in this region. However, the file concerning its origin was blank. A deeper search yielded no results, and the precise coordinates could not be determined. Why didn't you tell us this before? Kevin questioned. It was irrelevant until now. My primary search at the time involved missing ships and any investigations into their disappearances. Sarek read Kevin's querying glance. The Grieva was not among them, and the Enterprise was recorded missing at an entirely different set of coordinates. Amanda frowned at the information, glancing between them. Admiral Kozak has been thorough, which is why I am surprised these fragments remain, noted Spock as he took further readings. They certainly belong to a Starfleet vessel, but there is not enough here to equate the loss of an entire ship. Are you sure? Kevin asked with newfound hope. If the Enterprise survived, it is significantly damaged. A deeper investigation may lead to more debris. Spock peered over his shoulder at him. Try to remain open to all possibilities, Mr. Riley, favorable or not. They scoured all that was seen and combed over the region until nothing more could be found. Spock sat back from the console, unable to fully mask his distress. The coordinates were all we had. What did I believe we would find? If the Enterprise is not here, where could it be? He felt Amanda's hand upon his shoulder. Spock, I know this seems like a dead end, but I'm sure there is more we aren't seeing. Perhaps the anomaly was a tear in the fabric of time, or a wormhole between sectors of space. He sighed. I am not one for speculation. In order to move forward, I require data. Kozak, Kevin answered flatly. He's the only one left who knows the truth, and if we have a ship that can penetrate his defenses, I would not be so certain. He is not a man given to negligence. His paranoia would not permit it. Then what do you propose we do, sir? Spock studied him thoughtfully. Mr. Riley, do you recall the Enterprise's last mission? Kevin rubbed his chin, thinking back. We were dropping off some delegates on Daran V, right? Spock withheld comment as he laid in a course. Sarek peered at the new heading in approval. Retracing your steps, that is wise. The inhabitants of Daran V should be able to confirm your recollection, Mr. Riley. Amanda glanced at them sharply. Why question what we already know? Spock kept his head down, while Kevin swallowed nervously. Spock had told him about the conversation he had with his father concerning their memories. Relieved that Sarek had pushed past his emotions for the sake of reason. Would Amanda do the same after hearing the truth? Sarek faced her, his demeanor calm and stoic, a diplomatic facade she had seen one too many times. Sarek, what don't I know? She demanded, flashing him a look of warning. Kevin could feel her anger, a formidable presence. He swallowed again, the prickling sensation of sweat beginning to bead on his brow. She's more Vulcan than she lets on. Spock suddenly stepped between his parents, bravely attempting to defuse the situation. Mother, perhaps you should come with me, he offered, gesturing to the aft of the ship. Amanda withheld her wrath, utilizing many years of mental discipline, and followed Spock from the cockpit without further protest. Kevin took his place at the helm. Well, if she kills us, Kozak won't have to, he whispered to Sarek, chuckling in feigned humor. His laugh trailed off awkwardly in the silence that followed. It wasn't long before Spock rejoined them, looking nearly as spent as he had the night before, although this time the exhaustion was more mental than physical. Kevin had barely heard Amanda's appalling whispers and Spock's forced calm from where he sat. "So, how did she take it?" Kevin couldn't help but ask, as Spock reseated heavily at the helm. He stole a glance at Amanda, who sat on the cot, staring fixedly away from them. "My mother is very forgiving, usually." Sarek's brows furrowed, sensing Amanda's bottled-up feelings through their bond. "I will talk to her." "No offense, sir, but as a fellow human, I suggest you let the water settle first," Kevin said, noticing their confusion at the idiom. "My grandpa always said to let a woman calm down after a fight." He smirked as he recalled his grandfather's old scratchy chuckle. "But not too long, or she'll start plotting something." Spock glanced sideways at his father, who remained where he was, rather reluctantly. Kevin shook his head in wonder. "Never thought I'd be promoted to Vulcan marital counselor, but here we are. Now if we can just make it to Daran V in one piece." Kozak's fist came down hard upon the arm of his chair as Ramirez filled him in. "Your blunder may just have cost you your career," he shouted. Santos flinched at the cutting reprimand. "I accept any punishment you deem appropriate, sir, even if that includes hanging my hat." Kozak squinted at him over the transmission. "Not the reply I was expecting coming from you. Getting cold feet, Ramirez." Santos shrugged. "I still believe in the mission, sir. I just don't see why our own people have to be treated this way. If you want me to continue serving you, I refuse to threaten or kill any more Federation members." "Is that so?" Kozak murmured, folding his hands on the desk in front of him. "Yes, sir. I signed up for this because I wanted to kill Romulans, not old ladies and Vulcan hierarchs." "All right, Ramirez. You don't have to kill anyone. Just locate our missing friends, please." Santos blinked in surprise. "You still want me to tail them? Even after my failure?" "You're the main patrol officer in that sector. I need to know what they're up to." "How will I find them? They're sure to be under cloak." Kozak took a sip from his steaming mug of tea, his mouth obscured as he replied, "Daran V." Daran V was abnormally silent for a world of 3.724 billion inhabitants. Spock attempted another hail, unease evident at their blatant ignorance. The quiet was eerily similar to Deneva, a world clutched by a parasitic organism. Was this world as deep in the clutches of corruption? "There is no malfunction that I am aware of," he said, more to himself than for anyone else to hear. "Should we enter orbit? Try to beam down?" Amanda piped quietly behind them. She had spoken very little upon rejoining their company, but seemed to be moving past her feelings in light of more pressing matters. Sarek acknowledged her, secretly pleased to have her back. The only action permitted us, it would seem. A violation against their planetary defenses. We could rightfully be arrested and detained. "They hear us all right. I bet they know exactly who we are as well," Kevin added, slightly impressed by the opposing forces' reach. "If we are all in agreement, it would be wise for only one of us to beam down, preferably in a location where we can quickly obtain the answers we seek," Spock explained. They all glanced at each other, trying to determine who that special someone should be. "I'll go," Kevin offered. Spock shook his head. "You are not so heavily trained in combat, nor could you obtain the needed facts without alerting security." Kevin grumbled. "Sorry I asked." Spock eyed his parents, expecting them to protest his next words. "I volunteer myself for this mission. I have experience in infiltration, and I am far more expendable than either of you." "Spock, how could you say that?" Amanda exclaimed, appalled by his disregard for life. "Amanda, he speaks in military terms. I would draw too much attention, whereas he would not," Sarek consoled her. "Wouldn't any Vulcan draw too much attention? These people don't exactly look like, well..." Kevin scratched his head awkwardly, eyes drifting to Spock's pointed ears. "If you recall the delegates, Mr. Riley, there were several Vulcans among them. I believe their intended stay remains in effect for another 2.3 months, or until the planetary disputes with the Klingons are resolved." Amanda bit her lip, trying not to voice her maternal concerns. "Spock's been risking his neck for years now in Starfleet. I'm well seasoned myself to personal risk, but not in risking him." She held her breath as he stepped onto the transporter pad, longing to reach out and hold him in place as his molecules disintegrated into millions of precious pieces and traveled away from her grasp. A haunting memory flashed before her conscience of Spock in the hospital when she first saw him, pale, feverish, and wrapped in bandages, just as beyond her abilities to protect as he was now. She studied the view screen where the strange world rotated, hoping that her thoughts alone could beckon him. "Come back, my son,"